Ever heard the saying, don't judge a book by its cover? Well, in the skies over World War II Europe, there was a plane that taught the Luftwaffe this lesson the hard way. Meet the Republic, P-47 Thunderbolt, affectionately known by its pilots as the Jug. When it first arrived, German pilots couldn't help but chuckle. It was huge, heavy, and looked more like a flying milk jug than a sleek fighter. They nicknamed it the Fat Kid of the Allied Air Forces. Little did they know, this fat kid was about to become their worst nightmare. So, why the laughter? Let's put it in perspective. Next to the elegant British Spitfire, or the nimble German Messerschmitt Bf 109, the P-47 was a brute. It was the heaviest single-engine fighter of the war, weighing nearly twice as much as a Spitfire. Its size came from its massive Pratt & Whitney R2 800 double wasp engine, a 2,000 horsepower radial beast that needed a huge fuselage to house it in its complex turbo supercharger system. Two German pilots who prized agility and climb rate. The Thunderbolt seemed clumsy, a slow, easy target. They thought, how could this giant possibly compete in a dogfight? The early missions didn't do much to change their minds. When the P-47 first entered combat in 1943, its pilots were still getting used to its unique characteristics. The plane's initial climb rate was sluggish compared to its rivals, and its sheer size made it seem less maneuverable. The Luftwaffe pilots, experienced and flying on their home turf, were quick to exploit these perceived weaknesses. They could outturn and outclimb the Jug in a classic low-altitude dogfight. The initial reports back to German high command was smug. The new American fighter was no real threat. The laughter continued, but then the American pilots started figuring things out. They learned that the Thunderbolt's weakness was also its greatest strength. It might not have been the best at climbing, but once it got to high altitude, that massive engine and turbo supercharger made it a king. Above 25,000 feet, where the air thinned out and other fighters started to gasp for breath, the P-47 came alive. It could outrun, outdive, and outperform almost anything the Germans could throw at it. The laughter started to fade, replaced by a growing sense of unease. And then came the dive-o. Oh. 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 This is where the Thunderbolt truly became terrifying. Its heavy, robust airframe meant it could dive at speeds that would tear other planes apart. German pilots would find themselves with a P-47 on their tail, and their go-to escape move was to enter a steep dive. In their Bf 109s or FW 190s, this usually worked. But against a Thunderbolt, it was a fatal mistake. The Jug would just follow them down, its speed building to incredible levels, its controls staying firm and responsive. The German pilot, fighting a plane shaking itself to pieces, would suddenly find his cockpit exploding in a hail of 50 caliber bullets. Let's talk about those guns. The Thunderbolt didn't just have guns. It had a flying machine gun battery. 8 50 caliber Browning M2 machine guns, 4 in each wing. When a P-47 pilot squeezed the trigger, he unleashed a torrent of firepower that could shred an enemy aircraft in seconds. We're talking about a combined rate of fire of over 100 rounds per second. It was like hitting a brick wall made of lead. The Germans, used to cannon fire, which was powerful but slower firing, were shocked by the sheer volume and destructive power of the Jug's armament. The giggling was long gone. Now, there was only respect and a healthy dose of fear. But the P-47's true destiny wasn't just as a high-altitude escort. Its ruggedness made it perfect for another role, one that would make it a legend among the ground troops' ground attack. After escorting the bombers to their targets, the Thunderbolts would dive down to the deck and wreak havoc. Take a dit, strafing. With those 8 machine guns, they could tear up supply trucks, trains, and enemy troop concentrations. But it didn't stop there. The Jug could carry a staggering payload. With up to 2,500 pounds of bombs and rockets, it could take out tanks, bunkers, and bridges. It was a fighter that could hit like a bomber. This is where the plane's reputation for toughness became legendary. Stories from pilots are incredible. They would fly back to base with wings and tails riddled with holes from anti-aircraft fire. Some returned with entire engine cylinders shot away. One pilot, Lieutenant Harold Comstock, had his plane's tail basically cut in half by a colliding German fighter. Yet he still managed to fly it back to England. The plane was built like a tank. Pilots knew that if you got into trouble, the Jug would do everything in its power to get you home. This survivability gave them the confidence to take risks, to press their attacks, knowing their fat kid could take a punch and keep on flying. The numbers speak for themselves. The P-47 flew more sorties than any other Allied fighter in Europe. By the end of the war, Thunderbolt pilots had destroyed over 7,000 enemy aircraft, both in the air and on the ground. They destroyed hundreds of thousands of trucks, thousands of tanks, and thousands of locomotives. The plane that was once laughed at became one of the most effective and versatile weapons of the war. It cleared the skies for the bombers and paved the way for the ground troops. From the D-Day beaches to the heart of Germany, the sight of a Jug diving down was a welcome one for Allied soldiers and a terrifying one for their enemies. So the next time you see a picture of the P-47 Thunderbolt, don't see a fat kid. See the heavyweight champion, Seath. A plane that could take a beating and give back tenfold. It's a testament to the idea that looks can be deceiving, and that true strength isn't always about being the sleekest or the quickest. Sometimes it's about being the toughest, the most powerful, and the most relentless. The Germans laughed at the Thunderbolt until it started firing, and when it did, it was the Jug that had the last laugh, all the way to Berlin. Thanks so much for watching this deep dive into one of history's most underrated warbirds. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more like it, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Let me know in the comments which legendary aircraft you'd like to see covered next. Until then, fly safe.